fire for your mind. The Kosher Clinician. On today, guys, and the question that remains for the day is this: does Valentine's or love benefit men? Does Valentine's or love benefit men? And we're going to look at things from a very, what I call, cerebral perspective as we more or less explore the dynamics of the concept of love and how love, as a byproduct, even though on surface love can be good, a man should never love a woman more than he loved God and his purpose. But because when she decides to leave, and many do leave, then what will you have? Will your inner sanctum have been violated because you fell for the nebulous concept called love? So we're going to talk about it, guys. I need you to get your pens and your papers ready. I need you guys to get the likes up. Share this content, because my mission as a licensed therapist is to inspire as many men as I can in these very turbulent times. But also my desire is to inspire and more or less, how can I say it, push forth the brotherhood. I told you that part of the Manhood Chronicles is based on this premise, that manhood is a series of hills and valleys, victories and failures. And manhood is a journey, not a destination. And whereas men, we may not agree on all things or ideologies, and we won't always agree on all things, and we will not always agree on ideologies, and that's okay. But we come together as allies of a common cause, only to dissipate and or go away when the crisis is over. There is a crisis in heteronormative masculinity centered around, once again, the nebulous concept called love. And we got to ask ourselves the question, does love benefit men? Does Valentine's benefit men? Have you been a sucker for the dopamine rush called love? Because dopamine is tied to that neural-stimulating hormone called dopamine. And we got to talk about it, guys, because many men have been more or less saboteurs of their own ignorance because they failed for the nebulous concept called love. Back in the past, I remember the Little Rascals, and on the Little Rascals, he said that I'm in the mood for love. I think it was Spanky. And he said, simply because you're near me. And that was a time when women more or less exuded the virtues of being feminine. They exuded the virtues of being a girly girl. And they exuded the virtues of the women of the past that were synonymous to being honorable and also worthy of love and adulation. But the question remains now is, do modern women qualify for love? And I say modern women because I'm not talking about traditional women. I'm not talking about traditional women. A traditional woman knows her place in the dichotomy or the ecosystem of a man. She's been conditioned to come into the relationship to serve her man. And because she's been conditioned to come into the relationship to serve her man, she is a byproduct of the blessings that man's going to give to her, because she realizes that man will love her if she honor and respect him as a man. And as Bishop Charles E. Williams said, y'all ain't gonna talk to me. But I want to talk about it because, Keith Sweat made a song back in the 90s, If You Were a Gen Xer. And some will argue that men have been conditioned to be simps. And I told you guys that there are two types of simps. One is a conscious simp. The other one is a unconscious simp. The conscious simp stands for sacrificing important masculine principles. The conscious simp knows what he's doing is wrong, but he does it anyway because he's been blinded by the love and the beauty of a woman. But watch this. The unconscious simp is a byproduct of men that have grown up in single-parent homes many times. And the unconscious simp means supplementing irrational male patterns, because it's irrational to give a woman something that has not earned it if she haven't earned it. It's irrational to put a woman above your purpose as a man. It's irrational to esteem that woman higher than you esteem yourself. That's irrational. And that's why, men, we got to have these conversations, because you guys have been product and or byproducts of negative socialization, and you've been byproducts of something called negative conditioning, social conditioning. And because of that, so many of you men have learned to defer your power instead of demanding power. The late, great Frederick Douglass said it, Bella and I could say it, as we are in Black History Month. Frederick Douglass said that power never conceded to anything without a struggle. It never have, and it never will. And so the question remains is, what are you willing to concede as it relates to your masculinity as a man? What are you willing to give up to the point that you lose your dignity as a man? Because what I've learned as it relates to the psychology of women, women only respect men to stand in power and strength, because she was designed to look up to you. She was designed to serve you if you believe in the tenets of theology. The gospel says that the woman was made for the man, if you believe in that. But even if you don't believe in the tenets of the Bible, the Torah and the Quran to more or less supports it, because it's all part of the patriarchal system of God. Now we're going to talk about it, guys, because, do modern women qualify for love? Do they qualify for your time? Do they qualify for your attention? Do they qualify for your resources? Because so many of you men have such low self-esteem, you just give it away for free. She hasn't done anything for you, but you have decided to more or less esteem her higher than you esteem yourself. And because you have begun to esteem her higher than you esteem yourself, you have got a condition called a schema affliction. And a schema is based on a fixation in your head that's led to fear associated with the pain of the past. And I told you guys the parlor group therapy is something called corrective recapitulation, which basically means I got to go back to the past and correct that thing that held me renderless, or that I surrendered to from my past. I got to go back to the past and remember how I became a simp. Because once again, she only respects power and strength. Are you willing to stand on power and strength? Are you willing to fortify your inner sanctum as a man? Are you willing to stand on masculine principles, even to the point that you might lose out on some vagina? We're going to have these conversations, men, because women only respect masculine men. But liberal indoctrinations and liberal dogmas have more or less taught you that the more masculine you are is a byproduct of a condition called toxic masculinity. But watch this. That ardent feminist that more or less propels the silly notion of toxic masculinity actually loves a masculine man when she's in the bedroom. She loves a man that will check her when she's wrong. Because indoctrination through socialization never supersedes the intrinsic nature of a woman's nature. It'll never succeed it. We talk about a condition called nature versus nurture. And ideally, they both should be coalescing or balanced together. But socialization, many times, is not as powerful as the intrinsic nature of femininity, because a woman needs a man to be masculine, because it's the duality of the synchronicity of man and women. I call it optimization through the byproduct of synchronization. Because when a man and woman come together, they've been optimized to be synchronized. And this Valentine's Day, many of you men have begun to give your power away. You're giving your power away to women that don't respect you. You're giving your power away to women that don't honor you. You're giving your power away because you feel like you gotta buy her a Valentine's Day present. But the question remains, has she earned that Valentine's Day present? What has she done for you that says she deserves it, only based on negative social conditioning where you feel like, I got to do it. If not, she's going to be mad at me. Because if you gave her Valentine's only because of the host of sex, well, you're used to sex. You get that every day. She getting a trifecta. She getting your penis, She's getting the Valentine gift, and she's getting taken out for dinner. But what are you getting in return? The gospel saying, honor thy father and thy mother. It doesn't say honor thy mother and thy father. It says honor thy father and their mother, because man was here first. And man is the first fruit of God's creation, if you believe in theology. But I want to talk about it because Kevin Samuels talked about something called Galentine's Day. And also here recently, Antonio Gates is going through a divorce. And so the question remains, does the nebulous concept of love benefit men? Does love benefit men? And does Valentine's Day benefit men in these modern times that we're speaking in? So guys, get the likes up. If you have not donated, donate to the show. Hit Cash App $7 Smalls. If you don't have anything to share, guys, share the content. Share the content if you don't have anything to share. Because some of y'all might be broke because y'all been paying all your money. Y'all kicked all the money, them flowers and cards and candy. And you got to take your woman out to, to a nice restaurant. But I want to be clear on this. I'm not against a man taking care of a good traditional woman, a woman that honors him as a man, loves him as a man, and respects him as a man. I'm not against that at all. Because in fair exchange, there is no robbery. There's no robbery, guys, in fair exchange. But the question remains, what are you getting as a fair exchange in this current time that we live in called America? What are you getting, men? Are you getting fair exchange from the modern woman? Have you became a saboteur of your own ignorance because you've been socialized to think I gotta do it? And I'm here to break that schema of affliction on today, brothers. I'm here to restructure that cognitive issues that you're having in your head because you have been conditioned to think that you must give her something without making her earn it. And what I've learned with women actually respect men that make them earn things. She might fight you in the beginning, but it's in her nature and it's in the human nature to fight for things that they got to work for. Humans tend to build character based on things that they have to earn. But things that are given simply and easily, people don't respect. And that's why we got to have this conversation, guys. We got to have this conversation. So once again, get the likes up. Get the likes up. Share this content. If you have not shared the content, donate to Cash App $7 Smalls. So I want you guys to let that marinate because this is going to be a great show. And I love the brotherhood. I love the brotherhood. And I want to see you men win. I don't want you men to come in to therapy sessions depressed and broken because you found out your woman cheated on you, or you found out she didn't really love you, but she was just using you for her own benefit. I believe that in relationships, men and women both should benefit. I believe that a woman should benefit as long as her man is benefiting. But I don't believe that a man should just give his best to a woman that have not earned it, because that's negative behavior modification. In a good relationship, she benefits and he benefits. It's complements of one another. It's symmetry. It's congruence. But when she's constantly benefiting and he's not benefiting, then that's positive reinforcement for the woman, but it's negative reinforcement for the man. And basically what you're teaching her that her worth matters more than your worth as a man. And what happened in that relationship, it does not teach her to respect you, but it will teach her to use you as a commodity only to satiate her fickle needs as a woman. But you got to be in a relationship where you benefit as a man and where she benefits as a woman. But the question remains is, guys, how many of you men have given your power away because you've been conditioned by your mom? Your mom told you, son, just give her some flowers. Your mom told you, baby, take her out to dinner. Your mom told you, son, buy her a bracelet or buy her a necklace. That's what your mom told you. And she meant well. She only did what was more or less predicated on her hard drive as a woman. But a masculine dad would have told you, boy, listen here. If she don't respect you as a man, you tell her what you expect. If she doesn't tighten her game up and step her game up, you get rid of her, boy. That's what your dad would have told you. That's what a masculine man would have told you, not a cream puff. And that's what's happening now. We're living in times when we don't have enough masculine men. We don't have enough of them. And that's why our boys know what masculinity looked like. They don't know what it looked like because they've never seen it. They've never seen true masculinity. Masculinity manifest in their communities. And they definitely haven't seen true masculinity manifest in the churches. Because there was a time that true masculinity was manifest, guys, in the churches. But you don't see it anymore because many preachers have compromised the message of the gospel for the sake of money. They compromise. You know, they love money more than they love the gospel or the truth. And Jesus said you can't serve two masters. Either you're going to love one or you're going to hate the other, but you can't serve two. You can't love mammon more than you love dignity as a man. And I get it. It's tempting when people are giving you money to compromise. It's very tempting. But pain is temporary, brethren, and glory is forever. And which one would you rather to choose? The temporary pleasures of fleeting money, or more or less standing in your dignity as a man and letting your name be more or less entrenched in the echelons of time? And they said that man stood for principles. He stood for what's right in a time where so many were willing to compromise. So we got to have these conversations, brothers. We got to have these conversations. Brethren, we got to have them. Because it's time for men to be empowered. It's time for men to recalibrate how they've been socialized to think. It's time for men not to be victims like Antonio Gates. Because Antonio Gates now is a victim. Antonio Gates now is going to have a schema affliction. And now Antonio Gates is going to be impacted because now Antonio Gates might say, I can't trust women anymore. I can't give my best to a woman because I don't know if she's going to protect my six. Because I told you, women, if you're willing to protect his six, which is his ego, he'll protect your six as his ability to love you as a woman. But if you're not willing to protect his six, which is his ego, because men are at their best when they know that their ego is protected. You might say, what is his ego? Your ability to be loyal is part of his ego. Your ability to honor him is part of his ego. Your ability to respect him is part of his ego. Your ability to do things when you don't feel like doing it is part of his ego. Because that man knows that if you can protect me and respect me and love me when you don't feel like doing it, then that's a good woman. That's a keeper because she's not a slave to her emotions. She's very cerebral. She's aware. She has self-awareness. So we're going to talk about it, guys. Get the likes up once again. If you have not shared the content, share the content. If you guys have not donated, I need you guys to donate because this is going to be a good show. And I respect and honor what I'm trying to do, and I'm trying to help you brothers out. So let me read some of these comments real quick. Eden's Edelman said, Coach, do you believe some men have become simps in order to sustain their child's life? Yes, some have, and some part. They're simps, they're compromising their masculinity as a man, no doubt. I believe that. AM1 says zero benefits unless you sell corny Valentine's Day merchandise. Right. It really is no benefit because I believe Valentine's Day should be about the woman also professing her love for her man. But too many men have given their power away because, you know, that's what they've been conditioned to do. They think that's what they're supposed to do. Shout out to my man, Sean Big Mac, the Fisher, for the $10 super sticker. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
Right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
Brother. Keep working,
that's
no
a
doubt.
bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
You, sir. I appreciate everything you guys do. I appreciate the support. Because these shows are very time consuming, but I love to do it because I want to inspire our men, but more or less I want to inspire the young men. But we're going to talk about it, guys. We're going to talk about it because these conversations are very important. We ain't signing, Blank said there's no such thing as fair exchange in today's relationships. Right, brother, you're right. There is no such thing as fair exchange. There is no such thing as fair exchange. It's only about giving to just one. always giving to her needs instead of you getting something in return. But Teddy Pendergrass knew it better than me, and I say it all the time. It's so good to love somebody and somebody to love you back. Teddy Pendergrass was saying that back in the 70s when I was a little boy. But, back then, they were more complementary in the relationship. But they're not complementary now. They're very narcissistic because she thinks that her need is more important than your need as a man. And you can't allow yourself to fall victim to that kind of pathology, brothers. You can't allow yourself to fall victim. Michael Graham said most of these dudes need to stop simping to average-looking women and wondering why they're considered in the friend zone. I totally agree with you 100%, brother. There was a time, Michael Graham, when average women were very humble. But see, social media, because of simping, have made average women think they're better than what they really are. Average women were humble women back in the day when I was growing up, before we had all this social media. Back in the 90s, they were average, but they were very humble. But then you got average chicks weigh 500 pounds, they think they're special, and they're not. And, they get mad, they can be a 4, but they want a guy that's a 9 or a 10. What kind of bizarro mess does the sense of that make? It doesn't make any sense. My thoughts, I was a family man, but was simping to keep my lady. She left anyway. Right, brother, right. She left anyway. And that's why I do these shows. My thoughts are freedom. That's why I do these shows, brothers. That's why I do the shows. Because I want you guys to become cerebral in how you think. She only respects power and strength. And we all have simped to some degree. We all have simped to some degree. Some more and some less. But that's why we talk about these issues in the universality of brotherhood. Because the question remains, does Valentine's and love benefit the average or the modern man? And I would say it doesn't. Because you should never marry a woman based on the feelings called love. Listen, men, we are more or less wired to give. It's in our nature to give. That's why we become simps, because sometimes we can be slaves to our biology. We're slaves to our biology as men. We want to give. But you don't give to a woman that have not earned that as a man. You got to make her earn it. You just don't give it to her. But because some of you guys have such low self-esteem, you got average women that are rejecting you. When you do get some attention or some sexual validation, you lose your rabbit-loving mind. But I'm a firm believer that the more you become aware of what your power is as a man, the more you travel abroad to deal with average women and also prettier women, the more you'll realize how much power that you really have as a man. And I want you guys to realize how much power that you have. I don't want you to be a slave to your own ignorance. I don't want you to be a slave to your own ignorance. I don't want you to compromise your power as a man based on how your mothers and your grandmothers taught you. Because some of those women didn't know any better, but some of them did. She's going to only do what's based on her intrinsic nature to do. But you got to be conditioned to go against that as a man, because your value matters as a man. Your time matters as a man. Your self-worth matters as a man. And as Bishop Charles E. Williams said, y'all ain't going to talk to me. Get the likes up, guys. Get the likes up, because I got some fire for your mind. I got some fire for your mind on today.
Fire for your mind.
I got some fire for your mind on today, because we're going to dispel the myth about Valentine's and love for the typical man. Big Man the Fisher said, the world has told us that masculinity is toxic and that we need to change it because it makes today's women suffer. Right. It's foolishness. It's very foolish. Edith Edelman said, I think we should go to the courthouse until we have proven we deserve a big wedding. I totally agree with you, dear. You're 100% correct, Edith Edelman. I agree with you 100%, dear. And guys, share this content. Share this content with like-minded men and women. Don't share it with anybody. I need at least 5 people to share this content. Once you share this content, you guys hit the 1 button. We're about 20 away, 15 away from 3,000 subs. I'm going to get 3,000 subs on this show tonight. I want to get to 3,000. But I need you guys to share this content. Share this content with at least 5 people. When the 5 people share, hit 1. I need 5 people to share the content. Once you share it, hit 1. And like I say, share it because I want you guys to help other men become liberated. Don't take all this knowledge and hold it for yourself. Give it to other brothers if you think what I'm doing is good work. Because I want to see our men liberated. I want to see black men and white men and all men liberated. I want them to know what their intrinsic worth is as a man. I don't want them to compromise their power. So I need you guys to share the content. Share this content. Share this content, get the likes up. Once you've shared it, I need you guys to hit 1. I need 5 people. Only 5 people to share the content. And my thoughts and freedom said that's exactly what he was doing, like many men. Golden Child 325 said Valentine's Day is a woman's holiday. It's designed to make money off men. Right, simps. I totally agree. Solo Mike said, he said, I sent before, paid all the bills, everything she left me for a guy with no job. Right. Dysfunctional. Clement Gray said, brother, just went through this yesterday at an SB party. Said sisters need to hold each other accountable, only to be demeaned by the women with no husband, saying black men not held each other accountable. Yeah, you're right. I agree with you, Clement, Mike. You can't make it up, brother. You can't make this stuff up, man. Thank you, Cool Gent and Top Gun. Thank you, brothers. You can't make it up. They want good men, but they want good men on their own terms. And masculine men are not going to give their power away. They're going to demand it. Thank you, Miss Parker. Thank you, guys. Top Gun, Cool Gent. Miss Parker, thank you. I need one more. And I'm going to drop some fire for your mind. I need one more. I need one more person to share the content. Once you share it, hit 1. I need one more. As I'm reading these comments, being simping for decades, there's no hope to stop and keep the family whole. Right. Shout out to my man, My Thoughts and Freedom. He said, preaching the gospel. No doubt, brother.
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
Black men and white men and Asian men and Indian men. I'm going to keep preaching it because that's what God called me to do. He called me to liberate the brotherhood. He put fire in my mouth. It's been in my heart to do this for years. I knew back in 2009, actually I knew when I was 11 years old that I was called to lead and to counsel people. It's in my heart and it's in my nature to see our men do well. Because I don't want to see no man suffer in silence. I don't want to see another man go to the grave broken. I don't want to see it. I want to see our men live their life on their own terms, not being saboteurs of their own ignorance. So once again, guys, thank you for everybody. Thanks for what everybody's doing. I appreciate it. Shout out to Before the Billion, to call him the Young Lion. Shout out to my beautiful friend Smurfette. I call her my chocolate Smurf. Shout out to her on this Valentine's Monday. But we're going to keep having this conversation, guys. We're going to keep having this conversation because are modern women entitled to what men give them? Do they feel like they're entitled? Are they entitled to the love of a man? Do modern women qualify for love? Do you feel that modern women are entitled to the love of a man? If so, hit yes. Should a man love a woman only within reason? Should he love her only within reason? And what I mean by loving her within reason, when he loves her within reason, guys, guess what? He's not willing to give all his power away if he loves her within reason. But if he just loves a woman blindly, then he will become a victim of his own ignorance. So I'm a firm believer that you can love a woman through reason, but you can't give away your power 100%. You can't give it away. And I think too many men have given their power away because they don't know what their worth is. So the question remains, does love benefit men and Valentine's Day? And we're going to put the poll up because I would say no. I would say only to a woman that's an honorable woman and only to a woman that's willing to serve her man in a noble way. Only to an honorable woman and only to a woman who's willing to serve her man in a very noble way. I tell men all the time that you should love her within reason, because if you love her within reason, guys, watch this. If you love her within reason, when she don't feel like loving you, when she decides to divorce you, and she will do it, you'll still have your peace and your inner sanctum as a man will be intact. I'm a firm believer that man should love God first, whatever God you believe in. I believe in the God of the Bible. He should love God first. After he loved God first, then he should love his purpose second. After he loved his purpose, then he should love his woman. Because your purpose should never supersede your love for a woman. I'm going to say it again. Your purpose should never supersede your love for a woman. Because man, when he was in the garden, was alone, but he was not lonely. Watch this. Man was alone, but he was not lonely because he was busy worshiping God and he was on his purpose as a man. But men always fall when they let their love for a woman supersede their purpose, guys. Men always fall as a man when they let their love for a woman supersede their worship of God, guys. And that's when they fall, because they fell in love. And that's why you should never fall in love. You should love a woman within reason. Because when you fall in love, you will lose your sense of your purpose. When you fall in love, you'll lose your relationship with God, because now you're making this woman an idol. You're making her an idol over your masculinity as a man. And she should never supersede your masculinity as a man. Your masculinity as a man, your love for God, your love for your purpose should supersede the love that you have for a woman. That's why you got to discipline yourself as a man. You have to discipline yourself. And that's why the gospel said you shall love a woman in accord to knowledge, because she's the weaker vessel. But watch this. When you love a woman within reason, guess what? Not only are you protecting yourself, you're also protecting her. Because a woman wants a man that's not going to make her an idol. A real woman doesn't. A woman wants a man that she can look up to. A woman wants a man that she needs to seek his validation. She's been wired to serve you as a man. And if you take care of her, then she's going to take care of you. But so many of you men have been conditioned to give your power away because you think about giving your power away, it's going to make her love her. But no, that don't make her love you. That's why she loved Raekwon the Man Man. Because Raekwon the Man Man make her earn that validation. But some of you guys on your knees, dragging your knuckles, being goofy, talking about, oh, I'm going to buy her flowers and presents. I was that way at one point, because that's how I was conditioned. I thought I was supposed to give her flowers for nothing. She didn't earn those flowers. She didn't earn my money. She didn't earn my time. You got to make her earn it. Because see, what's happened, simping has led many modern women to a condition called narcissism. They have narcissistic traits because simps have taught them that their value was more important than your value as a man. And then when she decides to leave you, and she will, that's when you guys begin to have schema afflictions. That's when you guys begin to think about hurting yourselves. That's when you guys begin to think about hurting her. That's when you guys go through deep depression. That's when you guys lose everything you got. That's when you guys go to the grave early because you're depressed, because you made her worth better than yours as a man. And I'm fired up about this because nobody gave me this game when I was a young man growing up. Nobody gave me this game. I'm giving you guys free game. And at some point, this game was going to only be on Patreon. I'm giving you guys this game for free because I want to see you men win. I want to see you men win. I don't want your heart broken because you fell in love. You should never fall in love with a woman, but you should love her within reason. I'm going to say it again. You should never fall in love, but you can love her within reason. Within reason basically means that you're not giving her everything. Your inner sanctum is intact because you realize that your purpose on this earth supersedes the fleeting emotion called love. There are 4 types of love, guys. There's agape love. That's the highest form of love. That's what Christ gave to the world. There's storge love. That's the love that a woman has for a child. There's eros love. And most women want eros love. That love is fleeting. Eros love is fleeting. And then there's phileo love. That kind of love goes back to the Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. Brotherly love is what I have for you men. It's the brotherhood. It's seeing you liberated. It's seeing you going to the grave with your ego intact, saying that I've lived my life on purpose. I've lived my life as I'm about to take my last breath and go to the grave on my convictions as a man. I live my life holding my head up high in dignity and honor as a man. I live my life when I'm about to go to the grave. It's what Erickson called ego integrity versus despair. Ego integrity say, I've done those things that are right. I'm ready to leave my legacy to my children. But so many men have gone to the grave broken. They took their last breath and they were broken. They took their last breath and they were sad. They took their last breath and they were frustrated. They took their last breath. Everything they worked hard for was taken away from them. And that's why I say with no fault divorce now. No fault divorce, love does not benefit a modern man. Back in the past, it was okay because it was okay to give a woman alimony because most women didn't work back in the past. But now women work just like men. So love does not benefit men on the surface level. But see, men, we got to recalibrate how we think. We can't continue to go by that nebulous old school version of love because women now have caught up with the times. But we still dragging our knuckles back in 1950 talking about love and all this goofy stuff. She doesn't even think like you, but she still wants the benefits of the past while she remains modern. And as a man, you can't allow that because your inner sanctum as a man supersedes, once again, that fickle notion called love. Shout out to my man, MC Recovery and Wellness. Thank you, brother. I'm about to drop some fire for your mind. Thank you, brother. He said, I share it. I just found out I have a half sister. My mother never told me the letter wow. I'm 57 years old. Thank God for recovery. Casey, for your fire. No doubt, brother. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that.
That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
I appreciate that.
That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right?
And that's why I do as I do as a licensed therapist. I put my heart into these shows, guys. I put a lot of time in these shows. Sometimes 5 and 6 hours. Sometimes writing notes because I want you guys to have the best. I want you men to have the best. But does the modern notion of love, men and women, violate the inner sanctum of masculinity? You might say, what is the inner sanctum? The inner sanctum goes back to theology. The inner sanctum was something called the Ark of the Covenant. That was the presence of God. That was the law of God. But like Mr. Palmer from Child Support said, you got to change the law in your mind. And he said it brilliantly. Shout out to Mr. Palmer. Shout out to that brother. Shout out to Mr. Palmer because Mr. Palmer is correct. In the clinical world, we say you have to restructure your thinking processes. In the Bible says that whatever a man thinks, that's what he is. But Mr. Palmer more or less made it sense in both parts because he said you got to change the law in your mind. And Mr. Palmer is right. Because once you change the law in your mind, you will not be a victim of your own ignorance. You got to change the law in your mind. Some of you men are slaves in your mind based on this goofy concept called love. And once again, I'm not against love when you love a woman within reason because the gospel actually tells the man to love his wife like Christ loved the church. So when you love within reason, it's only after she has given a level of service to you as a man because the gospel says she was made for you. She was made to serve you. She's the glory of your creation. As a man, she's your glory. And if a woman takes care of a man, guess what? A man's going to turn around and he's going to take care of a woman. But the problem remains as this. If you're not willing to protect his 6, watch this, he's not going to be willing to protect your 6. Shout out to my man, Top Gun. Top Gun said, tear for the Valentine's sermon, no doubt. Thank you, brother.
It's a bet,
I
right?
appreciate
That's a deal, right? That's a
and
deal,
shout out
right?
to the lovely Chantel.
bet,
I
right?
love that
That's a
sister. I
deal,
call her
right?
the
That's a
Exalted
deal, right?
Lioness. I love that sister. She's a good young lady. And she's one of the rare sisters in this time that are what I call, a remnant sister. She's a remnant sister because you don't find a lot of women like her that's willing to look within herself and to change the trajectory of her life. That takes a level of maturity. But many women are not willing to do that. They're willing to always be the victim in the relationship. They're always talking about what the man has done. But you're not going to get the best from a man until you look within yourself as a woman. Michael Jackson said it better than me. He said, I'm looking at the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways. And I'm going to ask the women, are you willing to change your ways as a woman? Are you willing to change your mind as a woman? Are you willing to sit back and reflect and ask yourself the question, what does he want in the relationship? What does he need in the relationship? What can I give my man to make him feel good about himself? How am I willing to serve him to make his life better? And I say it's only for good men, not dusty men, not bums, not men that are users, not men that are violators, not men that are part of what I call the 20% quotient. I'm not talking about those kind of men, but I'm talking about good, honorable brothers that are good. I think most men in America, especially brothers, are good men, because over 53% of men don't have children, never have had them. So there are a lot of good men in this world that many times are invisible because they're not tall, because they don't make a lot of money, but they're hardworking good men. And I'm trying to tell you men this, is that you have more power than you realize. You have more power than you realize. And I'm here to liberate your mind on today. Rollo Tomasi wrote a book called The Irrational Male. And the question means, does falling in love violate your rationality as a man? And I would say yes, because you should never fall in love, but you should love within reason. So does falling in love violate your rationality as a man? Yes, because when men fall in love, they don't think logically, they think emotionally. And when a man thinks emotionally, he's not on his purpose, as I said earlier. When a man thinks emotionally, then he can't see the error of his way. When a man thinks emotionally, he's been induced by the hypnotic trance called dopamine. Dopamine is a byproduct of the term called dopamine. Dopamine is a feel-good hormone. But what happens when that man is no longer getting that dopamine, he becomes psychotic. And that's why men go on rampages when they fall in love. That's why men take their lives, because they're going through a psychosis or they become psychotic. They lose their lives or they take other women's lives because they believed in the hype called love. You should never love a woman based on the feelings of love alone. If she can't more or less modulate her feelings, then she can't be your woman. But that takes a very mature woman. And every woman doesn't have that mental acuity to do such. Can falling in love cause mental distress and mental disorders? Yes. Falling in love can cause severe depression for men once that feel-good hormone is gone. Falling in love can cause men to become anxious. Falling in love can cause a man to defer his power. Falling in love can make a man take another man's life. Falling in love can cause a man to become hyper-aggressive. Falling in love can cause a man to become delusional. And the question remains, is love just an illusion? I would say it is an illusion because it's something that goes away. An illusion is something that you think you see, but that illusion eventually will go away. And the illusions become delusions when you realize that illusion was wrong. An illusion is part of something you think you see, but a delusion is when you think you see it and I give you the evidence and you still believe it. That's a delusion. And that's a condition that we call in the clinical world, it's called a syntonic ego. A syntonic ego means you think that's the way you're supposed to feel. But it's to the contrary of the evidence. And that's not a good thing, brethren. It's not a good thing to fall in love. But you should love a woman through reason. You should love a woman through reason, because dopamine can lead to a schema affliction. And I don't want no man that's listening to have a schema affliction because he fell in love. God first, your purpose second, and then you love your woman within reason. God first, whatever God you believe in, your purpose second, and then you love your woman within reason. When you do that, then when she say, I don't love you anymore, guess what? You're going to sing that song like Eddie Kendricks. Keep on trucking, baby. You ain't going to miss a beat. You'll miss her a little bit, but you won't miss it to the point that you're going to lose your mind, because you realize that your inner sanctum is still intact as a man. That's why I believe in the inner sanctum of masculinity, that holy place that cannot be violated by no man. No man can come into that holy place. And I'm going to tell you something, guys. Many times some will try to violate your inner sanctum as a man. They will test you. like Delilah did. She tested the inner sanctum of Samson. She said, tell me what your secrets are. And that's where Samson messed up. He messed up because he told her what his secrets were. He told her what his inner sanctum was. And that inner sanctum was a place that was only prescribed for God, himself, and maybe a few men that he trusts. Because in the multitude of counselors, there's safety. Iron sharpens iron. That's why we need other men to galvanize us. But how many men are actually true masculine men? How many men on the exterior look like men, but they're simps on the inside? And that's why we got to keep having these conversations. That's why we got to have these conversations. We got to have these conversations. We got to have these conversations. Peter Fawn asked a question. He said, what percentage of women, ladies, are model? I don't know what the percentage is, Peter, but I would say that the percentage is higher than lower. I think the percentage of modern women is a lot higher. I would say definitely over 50%. And if I had to guesstimate, I would say about 70%. It's only a remnant of women that are willing, in my opinion, to more or less work with their men and help their men build. There's only a percentage of women that's willing to look within themselves to give that man what he needs as a man to become the best version of himself. I would say it's only a small percentage. I had a survey from a couple of brothers in the past, and they even said that they feel that the quality of women is less than 15%. Some gave a very conservative percentage. They said 30%. So that's what I believe, Peter Fawn. That's what I believe, Peter Fawn. My thoughts are free. He said, it was meant for me to hear this, brother. Yes, sir. Thank you, brother. This is me now. I'm just now trying to pull myself together. It's been 6 months, and she moved out immediately. And I love you, brother. That's why I'm doing what I do. I want to see you liberated as a man. I don't want you to get caught up in this nebulous concept called love, because it's fleeting. But women do need love. Women need the love of a man. She needs to be held. She needs to be told how beautiful she is. She needs to be caressed. And I'm not against love as long as it's within reason. But you just don't give your love away for free. The gospel said, don't cast your pearls to swine. And he was talking about the goodness and the greatness of the gospel. But with some modern women, you can't cast your pearls to swine either, because they're not going to reject it. They're going to reject it. They're not going to respect it. They're not going to respect it. Peter Fawn said modern ladies lie for on average over 30 times a day. Right. Chris Norwood said that people use the word love, family, and friends to sneaky more times than not. You're right. You're right. I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. And that's why we got to have these conversations, guys. Peter Fawn said God over Jesus, Jesus over man, man over woman, women over children. Right. That's the order of things in the book of Corinthians. Right, Peter Fawn? You're correct. You're 100% correct, Peter. I agree with you 1,000%. That's the order of things. It's called the hierarchy. Men do things based on position. Men are very vertical in their thinking. It's a hierarchy. Logan JJ said, why would modern women change their ways when today's society caters to their every needs and so hold them accountable for their own happiness? Right. I agree with you 100%. Chris Norwood, Top Gun, says about 7-75%. I agree with you, Top Gun. Chris Norwood said that majority are women born of the 70s to now are typical modern women. Right. And I think what men are saying, all they want is a peace of mind. Teddy Pendergrass said it's so hard to find. But that's what men are looking for. Men want to be happy. And I believe in the liberation of our men. I believe in men being celebrated and also validated as well. Let's look at this thing about this clip with what's his name? I can't think of his name. Antonio Gates. And Antonio Gates now is going to have a scheme affliction, guys. Antonio Gates is going to have a scheme affliction. And of course, Antonio Gates and wife has split after
4 in the morning, you got me up, all 'cause you need to talk. To 4 in the evening, wanna break up, say that you've had enough. I'm tired of talking again and again, argue about everything. You are my darling, let's kiss and make up. I know you wanna touch. You call me every night, call me every day. I just wanna get you alone now. Trust me when I say